When a doctor decides to kill, they have a terrifying advantage. They don't need a weapon. They have access to lethal tools right in their clinic and possess the exact knowledge required to hide the effects in a human body. In May 2024, the city of Bengaluru saw what looked like a perfect medical match. Dr. Mahendra Reddy, a gastroenterology surgeon, married Dr. Kruthika, a successful dermatologist. But almost immediately, the marriage fractured. Kruthika suffered from chronic gastrointestinal issues, severe gas pains, and blood pressure problems. Reddy decided he wanted out. Rather than face a messy divorce, he opted for a permanent exit. Because Kruthika trusted him to treat her stomach pains, Reddy didn't have to sneak around. As a GI surgeon, he simply offered to administer her standard pain medication via injection. Instead, he loaded the syringe with clinical anesthesia. By treating his own wife, Reddy built a heavy psychological shield. No one questions a husband caring for his sick spouse, especially when that husband is a highly credentialed specialist in the exact illness she suffers from. Over several days in April 2025, Reddy carefully escalated the doses. Finally, on April 24th, he administered a calculated, fatal overload. Kruthika went to sleep and never woke up. When her panicked family arrived at the hospital, Reddy immediately moved to block a postmortem examination. He pointed to her well-documented history of stomach issues, arguing that cutting her open would only add unnecessary trauma for her grieving parents. He almost succeeded, but Kruthika's sister, who also worked in the medical field, refused to let it go. She forced the hospital to conduct a formal autopsy. The coroner opened the body, examined the organs, and found absolutely zero physical trauma. The medical examiner signed off, noting only her pre-existing health conditions. Reddy had passed the final hurdle. He buried his wife and moved on with his life, secure in the knowledge that he had committed a flawless crime. A standard physical autopsy relies on a scalpel. It is designed to find structural damage, a torn artery, a tumor, a blunt force injury. It is completely blind to a targeted chemical assassination. But because Kruthika died in a hospital under sudden circumstances, a routine administrative protocol kicked in. Before closing the body, the coroner quietly collected a viscera sample. A viscera sample is a standard collection of internal organs and bodily fluids, typically pieces of the liver, kidneys, and stomach contents. It gets sealed in jars and shipped off to a state laboratory. This single action moved the investigation out of the physical morgue and into the microscopic domain of forensic toxicology. Toxicologists don't look for bruises. They dissolve tissue down to its base elements, hunting for foreign molecular anomalies hiding inside the cells. They know that human organs act as a biological black box. The liver and kidneys meticulously record and process every single substance a person absorbs, right up until the exact moment the heart stops beating. State labs are heavily backlogged. For 6 long months, the samples sat in a queue. During that entire half year, Dr. Reddy lived freely, convinced his medical alibi held up. Finally, in mid-October, technicians processed Kruthika's tissue through a complex analytical machine called a gas chromatographer mass spectrometer, or GCMS. The GCMS takes a complex organic sample and vaporizes it. As the gas travels through a microscopic tube, the machine breaks the mixture apart and sorts them by molecular weight, flagging any unnatural compounds. These sharp vertical lines represent distinct chemical compounds. In Kruthika's sample, the machine isolated a massive, undeniable data spike, a lethal concentration of surgical anesthesia.
There is zero physiological or medical justification for this hospital-grade drug to be circulating in her bloodstream. That single molecular spike on the screen instantly destroyed the doctor's alibi. The physical autopsy saw a natural death, but the chemical data proved a homicide. The lab immediately sent the viscera report to the police. On October 14th, officers arrived at Dr. Reddy's location, armed with the toxicological data, and arrested him. When detectives slid the laboratory results across the table, his arrogance finally cracked. Faced with irrefutable numbers, Dr. Reddy confessed to the entire months-long assassination plot. He was a highly trained surgeon who engineered a flawless deception for the macroscopic world. But his singular, fatal flaw was completely ignoring the microscopic one. A killer can manipulate their victim into trusting them. They can convince the family to look the other way, and they can even slip past a medical examiner's scalpel. But they cannot outmaneuver the precise chemical reality left behind in human tissue.